Hello everybody and welcome to Board with Fins, a casual podcast about board game and RPG nonsense with the gimmick that some of us might be Finnish. My name is Tom, I'm one of your hosts, but luckily it's not just me. Because next door to the studio was the Twerking World Championship, and I've managed to grab two of the lycra-clad, sheened winners of that contest to talk about board games with me. Wait a minute, it's Simon and Ita. Hi guys.
Hello. Finally, my badonkadonk gets some recognition.
With that sweet gold or some sort of medal that you were awarded. Did you win overall? Or was
I had best spirit. So maybe not the best moves, but sort of the best effort.
Yes.
I got it's sort of an
incredibly revealing lycra that you were.
Some might say it's the most prestigious award.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one above taking part.
Yeah.
If you can't be good, be memorable.
Yeah,
that's what they say.
No, that's my line. That's how I live my life.
That's why you've got that neck tattoo of that exact phrase.
Yeah, with misspellings, just to be more memorable.
No regrets.
No regrets.
That's the key. That's the motto of this podcast.
How are you guys doing?
I'm doing okay.
In great spirits, it's spring. It's several degrees centigrade on the positive side, which is
the other side,
which is great.
It's not quite warm enough for me to crack a smile outside, but I'm getting very close to it.
Close to it, okay. Is that before or after you switch to short shorts?
Oh, short shorts.
Yeah.
For a second, I thought you said short swords.
Nah.
I was like, is this how you judge the time of the year?
Yeah.
That's really a winter sword that you're using at the minute.
Yeah, we all know long swords are for winter. Yeah. Daggers, summer.
Yeah.
And rapier and dagger is the spring thing. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We all know that. And the old medieval
and
calendar.
scimitars for fall.
Yeah, scimitars and soup. Yeah. The most autumnal combination. Well, for this episode, and I guess you already know what we're going to talk about.
It's a complete mystery to me.
Like
It always is.
Well, I'll put the curtain back then. Let's not peek behind the curtain. In a surprising twist, we're going to be talking about social deduction games, and then a big reveal, perhaps later on, or spoilt in the title of this episode. I haven't worked it out yet. We're going to be talking about our potential top-tier social deduction game that I think we would recommend for pretty much anyone that's kind of into it. Detective Club.
The reason we're kind of doing this is because I wanted to propagandize for Detective Club after seeing how abysmally low it is in the Board Game Geek ratings, and I feel this is a injustice that we should rectify.
Yeah. With our weight on the online space to shift BGG rankings.
Let's just have a ball. How many of the people in this room have a BGG account and have ever voted for a game?
I have an account, but I use it to buy games.
I think
I
may have
a marketplace.
I think I may have made an account to look at maybe buying games.
And then went, no, I won't.
Nah, yeah. So we're key opinion leaders. We don't have to vote ourselves.
Yeah, we've got no skin in the game.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
we feel that we should. People that do should basically alter their perceptions of
vote for
social.
To be fair, I don't give a hoot about the BGG rating. I just want more people to know about the game because it's excellent. But we should talk about other games first to make it clearer why Detective Club is so much better.
So what is a social deduction game?
I actually tried to look at the definition, and I think it's very
Let's
hazy.
Wikipedia it right now.
It's very.
I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah.
It kind of is.
I think it's at least a game where I think most people have they exist as board games, but I think everyone has played a social deduction game at some point in their life, either as kids or like a workplace bonding event or anything.
The worst.
Team building. Do you hate team building, Tom?
Why
are you not part of the team?
I hate building teams and being part of a team.
That's classic.
That's why I sit alone in this podcast room.
We're holograms.
There's just a black curtain between me and you because I like to keep the separation.
You like being alone.
But I think in general, social deduction games, one of the main features is that they're quite easy to pick up. They're mostly party games. They require quite a lot of talking. And there is some sort of an assigned role that will tell you how you're supposed to conduct yourself in that space.
Yeah. I guess that in simplest terms, a social deduction game is that certain people at the table or who you're playing with have different information to other people. As the most kind of broad kind of thing. And that may be, you're a traitor or you're a werewolf. Or
you have a different agenda. You need to accomplish a different goal from the rest of the group while pretending to accomplish the same goal as the rest of the group.
Yeah. So it doesn't come down to dice rolls or things like that. It just comes down to social shenanigans, which either some people will really jump at or some people will definitely hate.
I think
it's not for, like most things, it's not for everyone.
And it's not for all groups of people. Like, it's not like it, you'll have to, I think of all types of games, this is the one type of game where you kind of want to be the most clear on who you're playing with. Then again, I think it depends, because there are certain social deduction games you can just play with people and not. Yeah,
it is true. It is true. Yeah. I think out of all the games that you could like take off a shelf, and especially, I mean, social deduction games for the most part are like big player count games.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's kind of how it works. So if we take like the classic example of like Mafia or Werewolf, some Among Us, or like the game Among Us, there you go. I only just got that name. No, I didn't, obviously no. But yeah, so some players are playing, you're hiding in plain sight, but actually, everyone's trying to get you. And there's different amounts of information that, people can give, but you want to be, especially in Mafia and Werewolf, the last guy standing, right? So if you're a good guy, you don't know anything, and you want to get rid of all the werewolves, peacefully or not peacefully, depending on how it works. And if you're a werewolf, you want to be in the majority or kill all the other villagers.
Get rid of the outliers.
The outliers. What a cold way of looking at villagers that you spend your life with.
But I also found out as we were getting ready for this podcast that Werewolf is a much older game than I had thought. But then again, I think Mafia might be even older because. When
was it a folk game, and then when was it actually boxed and sold?
Yeah, when did someone actually sell it? I can imagine people playing a thing like this.
Yeah,
a really long time before it would have been written down.
Yeah, because apparently this is a slight off topic, but to this, the British version of Liar's Dice, they've given a different name so they can copyright the name. It's this game is 800 years old.
Is Liar's Dice the thing they play in Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah, the documentary Pirates of the Caribbean.
You roll the dice and then you have to lie about, I've got 6 twos.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. It's sort of like a gambling bluffing game. Yeah. But it was but if we give it a different name, then we can copyright it.
Yeah,
it's
you've
the same,
definitely invented.
It's dice in a cup, man. Calm down. It's like calling poker a different game and then going, I've invented this game.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But I guess Liar's Dice is kind of almost, it's not a social deduction game, but it could almost fill into that role in that the game is mostly just lying to people, or just the game is mostly your dynamics with the rest of the group.
Yeah, which is pretty much the whole thing. And if you're not up for that, or if a few people or even one person is say if there's 8 of you, it's oh my god, we should play like Werewolf. It would be such a fun time. And if there's a couple of people going, I do not care for this, or are not really up on the concept of lying to someone's face for the next hour while people go, I know you're lying to me. I know you're lying to me. It's yes, that's the game. I'm sorry. That's kind of it.
And that can be incredibly stressful for some people.
Yeah, because I know people that hate it. I've got some interesting stories when we get into other deduction games, but wow. Yeah, it's the most, I think, out of all the games, they're the most dependent on people being up for it and the type of people you play with.
Throwing themselves into the game, getting into it. My biggest problem with most social deduction games, specifically Werewolf and anything or Resistance or anything where the point is that there's one specific person who is the liar or the bad guy or whatever who needs to hide, is that, especially if I'm playing with people who don't know me very well, I am always pegged as the bad guy. Even especially because I usually am not. I very, very rarely get that role. I'm just always seen as obviously the guy who's lying. And then it's
would you say that was mainly due to your suspicious body language and untrustworthy face?
Yes, shifty eyes.
Shifty eyes.
Yes.
I know. It's just you've never made eye contact with anyone. You're just constantly darting around the room, looking for exits.
In reality, I think it is because again, I'm incapable of shutting the fuck up, and somehow that is super suspicious to most people. Especially Finnish people find that super weird.
The way you answer every question with a question.
Yes,
it's really.
But that's outside of a game. Yeah. Anyway, people think she's very suspicious.
Why would you accuse me of that? Exactly, it's one of my main.
How you doing? Well, how do you think I'm doing?
That's a bit. Yeah. The most non-committal answer. How do you think I'm doing?
What's it to you?
Yeah, I guess in the broader sense, a sort of seduction game is just there's a lying component of it, and you have to lie to your friends about something for a while, and that's the main thing. And
could be hilarious.
Yeah, and that's the best.
Because I'm not knocking. I own a lot of social deduction games, really, overall. Yeah, quite a few. We never really play them because getting 8 people together in the right time, in the right kind of mood to bring it out, especially if they're not into it, is more of a
it's a party game, and we rarely do parties.
Well, yeah. Again, I don't believe in teams. I sit alone and I solo play everything.
And,
No,
if there are lots of people, like 8 people at the party, then I think there's better games like submarine game, not battleships.
Captain Sonar.
That phenomenal game.
So you'd much rather
Crazy
play
game.
something like a cooperative game rather than a social deduction game if you have a big group of people, because I just like them a lot.
Because maybe it's not entirely because of that, but it's not because of that, because I'm very bad at social deduction.
You too are a
I'm
shifty
I'm
man.
just so bad, and
No, you've gotten suddenly better at Detective
No,
Club. And
I think that's
yeah.
because people are...
It's because the meta has shifted into seeing that I'm so bad that it's literally a coin flip every single time whether I'm telling the truth or not. So whatever I say, people are going to be like, I don't buy it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
fair.
So compared to let's go through some advantages, I think, of social deduction games, like why people buy them, why they are like a thing. Even the old school ones, like
Yeah.
people have played these forever, like they do stick around. Even like the really old school ones, like just plain werewolf, where there is no kind of flair or flavor, like people play them.
Yeah.
Well, the biggest selling point or the best thing about them is like if you have lots of people, like +6 people in a room, like 6 to 10, it's almost impossible to play any other type of game. It is like these are the games you can play.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So high player count, I think, is an easy thing. Low table space usually required, because it's usually just have this one card, keep it secret.
And if
high
it's-
probability, extremely high probability. Yeah.
And if it's high player count, it also usually like comes with low teach or like not a lot to teach, because
Really
if
quick
it's
teach,
10 people and you need to teach a complicated thing to 10 people, that's
it
hard.
caters to the lowest common denominator in many ways. Like it is easy to bring to basically any table. And then also I think there's a reason why you would use this as a team building thing at companies and whatever. Like it's a way to bring like cohesion to a group of like not the people you don't really know. Like I tend to play social deduction games mostly with people I've never met before for some reason. This happens to me a lot.
Yes, I don't think I have, and I think I would hate that with every fiber of my being, because I think like social reads is such like a personable. I don't know. It's like, oh, you're a room of strangers, but 3 of you are going to be real twats. Like, well, great.
No, but like I tend to do quite well in those, except for the fact that people think I'm always the fucking bad guy. But otherwise, like
You use it to your advantage.
Yeah, but like one of my strengths is that you can put me into any group of people and I'll do fine. So it's like, so I don't mind that. But I just realized that I mostly play it when I'm invited to go play games with someone where I know one person of a group of 6 people, and then it's compared to like playing, let's say, Root or something else at a table like that. I will come out of that experience of playing with people for a few hours knowing a lot more about them. Because there's a lot of games you can play quite extensively, like 3 hours or something, and know nothing about the person except the way they played the game.
Yeah.
Whereas with social deduction games, you will always get an idea of who this person really is.
I mean, you can tell if they're a terrible liar very quickly.
Yeah, and also if they're a complete twat. Like, it's just like genuinely, like, but also like if they're throwing other people under the bus as a strategy, or like how do they like make connections with people and so on. Like it is like.
What games do you play on these company ones?
I haven't played the company ones all that much. Like I've played like at work we've had like a murder mystery thing, like a full on like one Christmas
That's quite
party.
cool. Yeah,
It was pretty cool.
quite hammy.
Yeah, like a film noir thing. It was pretty cool. But like I haven't played at work. I've just like gone to like multiple times been brought into a game night, and it's like werewolf, like not the original werewolf, but like One Night Ultimate Werewolf or whatever the like name of it is, and then Mafia, and then Spyfall.
Yeah, I think so. This is kind of like a nice kind of segue into, I guess, what I want to talk about, like some of the disadvantages of like, so especially the old school social deduction games, which is one, you are told to lie to either people you don't know or close friends a lot.
Or both.
That is the rule of the game. And if you don't feel comfortable lying, well, people literally try and find and accuse you.
Yeah.
And bear in mind that you can't just go, yeah, I was lying, because that's the end of the game. So you have to continue to lie for the game to function. May be seen as a disadvantage. And especially with the old school ones where you can sometimes mathematically not have anywhere to hide. It's people going, well, it has to be you, isn't it? And you go, no, it isn't. It's like, well, it obviously is. Just give the guy a break, right?
Yeah.
Like not everyone's, Laurence Olivier.
And then there is like another problem or another disadvantage with them. Even though they are high player count, many of the social deduction games come down to elimination.
This was going to be my exact same point.
So you have a party game that requires, at a pace, people being eliminated from the thing you're doing at the party.
Yeah. And this is true. I mean, this is why they tried to revamp it with like One Night Ultimate Werewolf, and pretty much every social deduction game from there that I'm sure we'll talk. Well, not every game, but games evolved from that. It's like, oh, we're gonna have a good first time. All right, night falls, you're dead. Like, oh, what a great game. What do? You just sit here silently for the next 45 minutes while everyone plays this. Before we move on, I'm going to interject with like a story of a really bad werewolf game. And this was in Finland.
Of course.
Because, of course it is. And someone really wanted to run the game. So in old school werewolf, like someone deals out stuff and then, if you want to accuse.
Kind of.
Yeah, kind of. But he played it that like the game would go on to the last person, regardless of if the werewolves have won or the villagers have won.
What?
Right.
Okay.
So there's a certain point where if you die, you go, you got me. I was the werewolf. Oh, fun times. Do you want to play again? Yeah, probably, because that went really quickly. And he went, no, I'm going to keep every death completely secret to everyone else. So werewolves can kill, and then like the villagers can kill in the day. And then we were just like, this is
so you make it into a battle royale.
Yeah, and it was like, this is not enjoyable.
Yeah, but I mean, eventually, when there's no werewolf left, there's just no one gets killed in the night. Surely then,
or if the werewolves don't agree on something, I couldn't remember. There was some like really weird rules that it was like, you know how this game was fun, and we went, yeah, and he's like, what about if I sap that away like a joy vacuum? I'm like, well, that sounds great. The only person here enjoying that is you.
Is there any chance that this was the same guy as your D&D, like DM?
My God, now you mention it. No, it was a different guy.
Okay, because that sounds like the same kind of person.
Who's to say that people like Control would set up a game where they have absolute control?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is I think that was, unless you play it really fast and loose, elimination games are very dull.
So it's
think,
kind of weird for that to be a party game thing as well. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, it's just like it's kind of.
Well, is that why? I don't know. Have either of you guys played like Blood on the Clock Tower? Because
no, I've heard good things.
This
about
is
it.
like
Because
advanced level shit.
Everyone raves about.
Yeah, I've heard
of
really
like a social deduction game.
You have leapt to like the forefront of social deduction. It's like social deduction if you really, really want to study every single roll, because in that one, like the GM can lie to you, so you can have unreliable information. So you have like different types. You don't know who the bad guy is. The bad guy has as in the flavor of bad guy might be 1 of 5, and the bad guy can have a power, and then you could misinterpret your own power, and you can poison people so their powers don't work. So it's a really thinky.
So does it actually take away it's a really quick teach and everyone can play?
No, it is the complete opposite.
So that's someone took like a social deduction party game and made it into
a strategic game.
Strategic game.
Yeah. And there you can die, but you still get, as a ghost, I think you can still kind of vote for exile and things.
That's
so you can still kind of on the one
team.
So
there's like when you killed, out of the game.
Yeah. But this is like a 5th gen social deduction
like
thing.
Like evolution of evolution.
Yeah,
of evolution.
so this is like jump to what it. I mean, I don't think. Also, it's incredibly expensive.
Okay.
Is it?
It's like 150 quid or something. It's insane.
Okay.
And it's just like little chips and stuff. It's like, I guess a lot of design has gone into it, but my God, you're not getting a lot of stuff for basically what can give you TI4.
Yeah, but I mean, it is a game that goes with 20 people as well. Like,
yeah, but 20 people that know the game. Because I've heard some horror stories of like, we went to this con and this guy got out Blood on the Clock Tower. I thought it was going to be really cool. And it was like 12 people that didn't know what the powers were, didn't know when they were being lied to. And it was just like, well, I can't fucking do anything. I'm just guessing. And so, if you have 20 people that know every rule, that go fully into it,
super
and then
niche.
play.
So you take away all the things we said in the beginning about like how social deduction games, except the lying to people bit.
And then it's lying, but you actually have cover because the GM can cover for you and other powers can cover for you.
Okay.
So it's less laid bare. So it's really tricky to kind of math out. But this is where social deduction has kind of gone. This is like now the bleeding edge of social deduction.
But is it still that you playing the people with like are the social dynamics still the main thing, or are the powers and everything else like kind of stealing the spotlight at that point? None of us have played the game, so
as someone who's never played, I've seen like some run throughs and I've seen people that like obviously enjoy it and heard talk from people that just absolutely whiffed. But I mean, it's still so. I mean, there's no other mechanic than you sitting next to someone else and going, "Trust me, I'm a good guy. We should have a pact and we should vote this guy out." Like it always boils down to that. It's just there's a lot more haze around it. Like there's less actual physical kind of evidence against people
Okay.
Well, there isn't. It's
Yeah.
just a weird kind of conflicting powers of everything. But that's like crazy time.
But so kind of like getting back from the bleeding edge and thinking about like more of you mentioned werewolf now, but like I played Resistance with the both of you at some point, about Avalon actually, I think.
Yeah,
but it's been a
I've
while
got
now.
Avalon.
Yeah, like I played, that was like...
Which one is that?
It's it's Resistance, but in like medieval, like there's like...
The Court of King Arthur.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. now
You're
I
a
remember.
minion of Mordred.
Now I remember.
So they're set up for Avalon and kind of the Resistance, but like Avalon just has a medieval kind of flavor to it, which means that I like it a bit more. I don't know why. It's kind
I
of the
like
same.
Resistance more than Avalon. I don't know.
I just like I'm Merlin.
That is on brand, yes.
Yeah. But the setup of the game is you're dealt out secret roles like you would be in a bog standard werewolf mafia game. You're either on the good side or the bad side. The twist is you're not trying to kill each other, you're trying to go on missions. So there will be a mission leader every round, and the mission leader will pick who goes on the mission. And then whoever, if that's allowed by the group or not, because you've got to like go, no, don't trust him, he's obviously a bad guy, blah, 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 blah. You're given a card to put into the mix of we pass the mission or we fail the mission. And only takes one fail card to fail the mission. So basically, if you're a bad guy, you just want to, and you know who the other bad guys are, so you want to sneak at least one bad guy onto missions, and if you fail enough, the bad guys win. And obviously, if you are excluded from missions, then they succeed, and the good guys win. So it's this battle so no one's eliminated. So this is the kind of the next stage of evolution of, even if I know you're a bad guy, that just means that you've got another bad guy among, they just know one of you. So even if you sacrifice yourself to throw a mission, you're still winning. You're still playing the game and you're still kind of out. And then you can always do like kind of shenanigans to kind of do it. But it's usually quicker as well. I mean, it should be. It should be just kind of deal out these cards and then sort of go.
And then there's quite a lot of like accusing, and there's quite a lot that goes into the picking of the team, and that's kind of like, that's something I've not really liked in Resistance, where the picking of the team always feels super stressful, because you're like, it is part of the game, it's
but
part of social
is,
deduction,
I mean,
I know,
in essence that is.
But it's also almost feels like you're like picking a sports team at like in high school PE, and it's like,
pick me, coach.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll go on the
It's
mission.
just trauma from your
I don't know, like, no, like I never got to be the person who picked, I was like being picked last.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
No,
That's what I meant.
no, like I hate
I don't know. I was a real jock at high school.
yeah,
you can
you
tell,
but, like,
just a real alpha.
But also, this is kind of also my thing with social deduction games in general, is that they are fairly like they're often quite fun, and it's kind of like it's a good time if you have a good group. But they're mostly kind of forgettable for me. Like I only remember like one game of Resistance that I played that I still remember like from many years ago. And the reason I remember it is because we had the wrong number of spies, because somehow we fucked up the setup so that like there were 3 spies instead of 2, and they all thought they knew who the other one was, and somehow they managed to thought they made eye contact with all of them, and they became mathematically impossible. Like like it was just
the
like
perfect game.
Yes, and like we had figured it, like we did the math, and like there's no way for this situation, these like fails to have happened with the people we have if we only have 2.
Yeah,
and
that
then
throws it off. Yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with you. I don't think you remember a social deduction game for like a crazy story.
But I don't think they're kind of more filler games, quick games. You play with lots of people for like
for the most part
a party or something. Like they're not really the sort of memorable strategic decisions where amazing narratives get built up and then you do things.
Truly, a Tolkien-esque story is being made today. Oh, we failed the mission.
Yeah, this time I was the
spoilers. I was the bad guy. I go, oh well, okay, that was the thing.
But on the other hand, I do think they've been an excellent way to, like, again, in going into a group of people I don't know people in, and finding, okay, this is clearly one of my people. Like finding if the people that I vibe with is very
gun hands across the table.
I think, well, that's really what they are good for, and that's, I think, why they're used so much out of just gaming. They're used as tools for people who don't know each other to get to know each other for events or like kids or whatever. Like
and
they're actually used for that, so they're that good for that. Like you wouldn't pull out Eclipse. As like, hey guys, let's all get to know each other
slowly with space cubes. It's like the best way to really understand someone. Yeah, just to go back to like Avalon and you only remember the games that go badly. I got some stories. So there was like this game club that I went to one of. Yeah, we were playing Avalon, and I think we were averaging maybe 45 minutes to an hour per round.
Oh, that's no.
Because spoilers, and I don't mind scientists, so some of them are okay, but like
huge call.
Yeah, it's a huge call. I mean,
especially in this room.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Someone at that table is lying, and it seemed that no one per round could really get their head around it because they were like, well, how could we have failed that mission? Someone needs to have been like, yes, that's the point. And it's like, well, what did you say? What did you vote for this guy? What did you vote? It was like the Spanish Inquisition, just to get around. It was like, yeah, you dealt a card. You failed the mission if you're a bad guy.
Literally, this is how you play this game.
People were drawing like literal matrices of who could have been the bad guy in the way that they voted for that mission to go either correctly or not. I'm like,
oh my God.
This is the worst fucking party game I've ever been in. And I was just like, I'm going to have to leave because you have sapped whatever. Because again, it's supposed to be shuffle up play. Yeah. Oh, you were the bad guy. I was the good guy. I trusted you. I shouldn't have trusted you.
Let's play again.
Ha 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 ha. It turned into, well, someone here is a traitor, and I'll kill myself to find that person. Like, all right, just calm the fuck down.
Someone drags out the polygraph from the
yeah.
Like, all right, everyone sit down and shut up.
Let me hold your wrists. Look into my eyes and tell me that you're not the traitor. It's like, calm down. They're obviously the traitor. Someone is the traitor. Don't worry about it. It's the
a game. Yes.
Oh my God. So that was one. And I never went back to that club. So hopefully they're still going. Praise be. Thoughts and prayers to whoever's still playing in that game. Probably still playing that same game.
Maybe.
Yeah,
or maybe they've switched to like
Secret Hitler.
Agricola.
Yeah.
Agricola would work, yeah.
Where you just look at your own little cubes and things.
Economic certainty in Agricola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's
it's dry, but it works.
No one lies, no one does anything.
That's
you
true.
just slowly make money.
Yeah. I'm going to build my hut.
For 2.5 hours, and then you go home.
How do you guys feel about Secret Hitler in comparison to Resistance, for example? Because I feel that, to me, they're quite similar.
Yes and no, but like, so I've never played it. I've thought about
Really? Okay.
Yeah. It's just never come up, I think.
I've also never played Secret Hitler.
But here's the thing, like, so the more they try and get away from this kind of high pressure, if you're lying, you're on your own kind of system, then this is where, like, the end point is Blood on the Clock Tower, which is like crazy rules. And now Secret Hitler is, you kind of need to know the game to play it, right?
Yeah.
Like, that sounds like a really reductive statement, but you know what I mean? Like, to kind of take the edge off, you're just on your own and you're lying, right? If the game can kind of coax you through and give you a bit more support, because there's levels of like obfuscation, right? Like you pick cards and then you hand the cards to someone else and they pick one of the cards and you can be like, oh no, I only gave you good cards, but now you've picked a bad card. And then there's gives you opportunities to not just flat out lie to someone's face. You can just go, well, that's just what I was given. You're lying about a situation, not lying to you.
Person. Yeah.
But to do that requires more rules and requires more setups and requires more space.
It immediately ups the complexity a lot.
Yeah, so we're getting away from like, here's a card. Oh, my card says werewolf. Up to now, like, okay, here's the game board. One of us is Hitler. Also, you get this liberals and fascists, and it's easier to kill Hitler if we get more fascist cards down. But we've got to vote through the, and basically you're learning the German parliamentary system to do it. I'm like, okay, right, yeah. It's getting away from for a stupid game called Secret Hitler. It's getting away from pick up and play kind of stats.
This is kind of making me also think of Secrets, which we played at one point quite a lot at Geisland, for example, and I always enjoyed it a lot, but it is, again, one of those games that it's a social deduction game, but it's like at least one step above Secret Hitler in terms of complexity, because it's like you have the KGB and the CIA and the hippies.
I like that
I
one.
really
I
haven't played it in a while.
Okay, here's
I don't
the
think
thing.
it's as hard as you like Secret Hitler, though.
No, but it has a lot more...
I think in terms of complexity, it's like one step down.
I would say up, but yeah.
You'd say, okay.
But I'll give you, because I did look into this. So how you play Secrets is you are dealt out kind of chips, and they're even money for most scenarios, right? So you're dealt a chip that says you're CIA, or you're dealt a chip that's your KGB, or there might be a hippie in the game.
Or maybe two if you don't have enough people.
Yeah. So you have like a certain role. And then the game isn't lying about being a CIA or KGB. The game is that there are power cards on the table. The power cards are worth points at the end of the game, and also powers. And the powers can like reveal tokens to people, switch tokens, and do all sorts of crazy things. But the gimmick is that you offer a card to someone. So you have a choice of two. You offer one, and if they accept it, then they get the power. And if they refuse it, then you have to do it.
Yeah, okay.
And you offer it face down, so you have to tell them what it is, but you can lie about it.
Yeah. So now the complexity is getting up, because Ruby loves Secrets as well, and I like it as a game. But like, she's let's play Secrets, but you get it out, and then you have to go, okay, so there's 8 types of power cards. Any random 2 you're going to get, and then you're going to choose someone to offer one of them to that they may take or refuse. But if they refuse, then you need to use the power. But also, if you duplicate your cards, you flip them down and get no points. And it just like
and you win together with your team, but you don't know which team you are on at the end of the game because you start by looking at your own and the person to your left or right. I can't remember.
Yeah. So,
and therefore, but it can change without you knowing it. You might never get a card to see it again, and it becomes like a clusterfuck.
So how do you sap away from this pressure of you're a werewolf, you're on your own? Well, you put it in a game that you don't have to directly lie. You're on a team. Also, you don't know what team you are on, potentially at some point in the game. So it's all about like adding rules to kind of take away from the pressure of I have to lie to people for the next hour.
Yeah.
And either people are going to like that because it's it's less direct pressure on yourself, but it's less. I don't want to say less strategic because I don't know if it is, but it's at some point you're adding an element of randomness just to take the pressure off you.
So it is no longer about the just the social exchange of information. It's no longer your lying is not the main point anymore at that point.
Yeah, but then like maybe my problem with those are that they're fun games, but like the more you do that, then the more, like you said, the more complex the game gets. And then the harder it is to actually teach it to lots of people. So
it becomes less
then
of a
player
party
counts
game.
go down, and then it's actually soon it's actually not a social deduction game like a party game anymore. It's like a serious negotiation intrigue game.
Yeah.
Like my problem is a little bit with the same game. Like I have Coop, and I know you also have Coop or Coop, however you pronounce it.
Cool.
And it's a really fun social deduction game, but it's also like you get it out and it's like, all right, there's these 6 rolls and you're going to be 2 rolls, but you can still do anything, but then someone can challenge you, and then and then if you're right, you lose a card, but they can also assassinate you, but then if you have this card, you're not assassinated, but you can do it for someone else as well, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
I always feel of
you just
5-dimensional rock paper
you
scissors.
just pretend to be a roll, but you can be any roll, but you have 2 rolls.
But I always think like Cool is more like love letter than resistance to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's...
To be fair, I mean, you're kind of correct. I wouldn't class Coup as a social deduction.
No, me neither.
Because you can kind of, everyone can lie about everything. Like you're not given a particular role.
And you don't have a
it
team.
is, I mean, you kind of are. I would say it's like I don't know. If it's not a direct one, like we're talking about where the evolution of social deduction games from those things. I think that Coup is definitely on that trajectory, although maybe on like a slight side path.
I can see it. I'm not completely
I don't disagree about talking about it in this context, but I do think it is more like Love Letter, which I do not think is a social deduction game in any way, shape, or form. So it is, and I've played good games of Coup, but I've only played really good games with people who are fun. Like it's only fun with it's only fun when you have a really good group and people are slightly hammered. Like
because it's like I'm the Duke. Like
we have 6 dukes in this table.
But
17 dukes.
But teaching that to people who are already drunk is impossible. They have to know the game already, and then you can play it.
I mean, they even I don't know if your version has those little cheat sheets, and you read it's like it's a fucking Excel table. I can't read this at all. It's like it's double-sided. It's like it just doesn't help
because it says so. The Duke takes 3 money and it stops the ambassador, while the ambassador stops the captain from stealing money. But
the captain stops captains.
But if there's an assassin on the board, then the something stops money going.
It would have to be an actual matrix. I feel like the matrix would make it like more usable and more readable.
You are such a programmer, kid. that you think that would help the average Joe.
I think it would be very visual.
But people would just look at that and go,
"What the fuck?"
I'm not. If it looks stupid, then I'm not going to play it. That would be the sort of the roadblock that I can foresee. But again, it's a great game, but like it's rules and kind of more understanding than you're a bad guy, just don't get found out.
Yeah, which is sort of the, I don't know, main one. And there's also another one that I have, which I don't really like playing, but I have played. It's Bang with an exclamation point. I don't know if you guys have played that, which is a social deduction game with like extra rules on top of being a social deduction game.
Yeah.
Kind of. When you get different roles, but then it's like this basically a spaghetti western theme of thing, which I really like. I like the cards have like Italian on them and they're fun. And then but then you get like lives, and then you have to try to, there's sheriffs, which everyone knows who the sheriff, and then there's
like
deputies and outlaws. And the outlaws try to kill the sheriff, and the deputies and sheriffs try to kill the outlaws. And then, but no one knows who everyone else is apart from the sheriff. And then you have to like try to kill people on your turn. So it's also this elimination, but you can only kill the people that are directly next to you. Usually,
unless you have a crazy
weapon, and then you can shoot other people. So it's.
I would play banging. I haven't played that in. I didn't realize you had it.
Yeah, I have it. Yeah, it's just a massive like Mexican standoff. Just the whole game is
Yeah.
everyone standing with guns pointing at each other, being like, "Are you a deputy? I'm a deputy. Remember, you're a deputy."
But is there elimination, Simon?
There is.
Will I be sitting there when I'm inevitably shot 2 seconds in?
You will be sitting
Yes,
there,
but Tom will be shot.
But
It's 100% guaranteed.
But it is quite a quick game, so I think the turnaround is pretty fast.
Yeah, but I also think it is quite like I have the memory of playing Bang and being like it has slightly too many rules for what it is.
Yeah, that's sort of my problem with it as well. That it's kind of the easiness of a social deduction game is nice that you can bring it out for like 6 to 8 people who like haven't really played games before. Be like, hey, guys, let's just do something fun. And then, but wouldn't it be great if there was a social deduction game?
No, I was gonna have still one more game.
Okay.
I'm squeezing in some stories as well until we go to the granddaddy.
Yeah. But like because now we've been talking about games that are complex because of the like actual mechanics involved and so on. But then there's the one game that I don't know if you guys have played or I played with you, which is Spyfall, which I think is the closest to Detective Club that we will be talking about next. But like the complexity with Spyfall is mostly just
I know about it.
Okay.
It's terrifying.
I haven't.
It's genuinely a terrifying.
I haven't played enough.
Game.
Why?
Enough deduction games.
Out of all the social deduction games, right? If you were dealt, if I look at the card and it says spy, I am terrified.
It is the most stressful.
It is the most. I think it is the most stressful, like social deduction game. Okay, so here's the setup. So there's a list of locations in the middle of the table, right? Like you're in a school, you're in a prison, you're on a space station, whatever, right? Then you get a deck of cards that is unique to one of those locations. So all these cards in this stack will say prison, except one, which will say spy. And then you deal out the cards. So now everyone at the table knows where you are, except the spy that has no fucking idea where you are.
I've played this. I remember it.
Yeah, okay. So you have played.
I've never played this game. I have explained this game. Oh, I have played this game.
So all of us have played this game.
I remember.
But I do think it is very stressful, but it's also the most unpredictable because it depends so much on the people you're playing with. Because some people are just irritatively bad at like the questions.
Yes.
Because is this the game? I think it's the game where I fucked up and just got annoyed and just asked Ibrahim, who was playing something. I just asked him, there's a film called The Beach, and then he's like...
I remember this.
Just absolutely ruining the game, being like, there's no way there's a film called The Beach, and he's like, well, that was the word.
Just for the listeners at home, just to get the game is then you take it in turns to ask a random person around the table a question about where they are. So you would, in a prison, you would go, do you enjoy being here? You know, and then the spy's job is to listen to these questions and to try and guess where they are. And but obviously you can't then just ask a question of like, do you enjoy being in this prison? Because then the spy would go, we're in a prison. And like the game ends when the spy thinks they know where they are. And
therefore the people answering those questions are also aware of this dynamic and are trying to say, well, I wouldn't choose to be here today, I guess.
Yeah. So you want a very diffuse question with a very diffuse answer that's specific enough that the person asking it knows where you both are.
Yeah, so you're both trying to communicate that I know where we are without giving away where we are, and it's especially difficult if you are the spy. You're asking the questions can be okay, but the answers is especially if you are randomly the first person to ask the question.
It's so bad. It's so bad as the spy. It's like, what's the weather like? And you're like, oh, it's all right, as expected, probably. And everyone's like, that's too vague. You're the spy. I remember our issues where, to me, a submarine has not very many windows.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
And then in Ita's mind, a submarine full of windows. And I was like, we fucked up in this game.
I was thinking of the yellow submarine, and there was someone at the table who agreed with me, and was thinking of the same thing.
I've been dealt the wrong card, because in my mind, I'm thinking The Hunt for Red October.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Sean Connery on the fridge. One ping for Shelley. Not a lot of fucking windows on that sub. Meanwhile, Ita's going, there's so many windows here on this submarine where I am. I'm like, you're the fucking spy. You're the spy.
Again, I was thinking of the yellow submarine.
a famously fictional submarine.
Yeah.
I don't see, when you say...
A cartoon submarine.
A cartoon Beatles submarine. Loads of windows. There were over 5 windows in that submarine, Tom. Unbelievable. Obviously, my knowledge of submarines is a bit more Cold War era than your very happy-go-lucky 60s submarine.
Why would you ask about windows in a submarine, though?
In my mind, not a lot of windows.
Yeah.
Not a lot of windows. It should be a very noticeable kind of lack of windows in a submarine. And you're like, there's so much natural light. flooding into this nuclear deterrent.
I will, for context, this game happened at your previous apartment, so it's been at least 2 years.
Oh, I haven't played Spyfall in so long.
Under the sea.
Yes, we had this conversation at the time.
There is no visible light anywhere.
The natural light thing I didn't.
It's just you and James Cameron going, look at the Titanic.
We had this conversation at the time.
Yeah, I'm still bitter about it.
I understand why there are no windows in actual submarines. It has been made very clear to me since then, but it's just like...
I do keep texting you every week. Just pictures of submarines.
Yeah.
Look at the windows, Ita. Look at them. There's none. But yeah, it's a fun time.
Yeah. But I think that's where like those situations is like where social deduction games like shine, when like people have like you have to talk to each other and vastly different ideas of something, and then it leads to.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why
Fun
Detective
clashes.
Club is so great, because the Detective Club is exclusively these moments for me. I think it doesn't have the like. It doesn't have the stress of having to spend a prolonged time being the odd one out. It doesn't have the team dynamic of having to know how your like teammate is going to act in this situation. You don't have to like try to manage a group of people, and it also like it's just somehow the game is built in a way that just breeds these kinds of moments, because I have, like, as we've been talking, I've been just remembering many moments like those from Detective Club that I just don't remember from the rest of these games.
That's true. I guess just to give a brief overview of Detective Club, just in case you're not cool and you don't know what it is. So this is kind of one of those social deduction games, but based around kind of the Dixit Mysterium style cards, right? So basically the bulk of the game is this huge deck of very ethereal, very kind of
dreamlike,
strange, surreal, abstract art that has very different elements to it. It's not just, oh, here's a car, here's a thing. Like everything is very weird and very kind of dreamlike.
And has many bits to it. Like it's even when you look at a card and you're like, this is a picture of a car in a tree, and then you start looking at it and there's like details that you might not see on the first round and so on.
Yeah. So what's the game? So the game is that you're just taken in turns to be the main person, and you will look at your hand of cards and you will think of a phrase or particular object or something that alludes to some element of the cards in your hand.
Two of them,
Yeah. And then you write it down on these little fancy booklets, except like Spyfall, except for one booklet, which you leave blank. So someone at the table has no idea what you're thinking, what the phrase is. And then the game is one by one, you will pick. So the starting player will pick a card from their hand to put down, say nothing, and then people will then like place cards from their hand that they think evoke this particular phrase or feeling or film or whatever that they're putting down. And the game is, if you don't know this, you have to kind of guess from other people's cards what you're kind of putting down. And then at the end, the big kind of crescendo is that the start player will point to their two cards and go, obviously, my cards say, trying to put across the idea of Star Wars A New Hope. Because look at this. This planet has two suns. This one has kind of looks like a lightsaber. And everyone goes around and explains why their cards fit the prompt. And obviously, when it comes to someone that didn't know the prompt before now, this is your job to go, what elements of my cards that I've chosen kind of semi at random, but also trying to take from other people's cards, how does this fit Star Wars A New Hope? So it's not lying, I guess. It's kind of thinking on your feet.
It's very thinking on your feet.
But it's, sorry.
No, and the main player who picked the word, is kind of in league with the person who doesn't know the word. Like the scoring works so that if you pick out the person who was lying, you get points. But if no one picks out the person who was lying, the person who was lying and the person who put out the word both get points. So your point is to always try to make it so that it is possible for the other person to make the connection even just by your cards alone, hopefully.
Yes.
Or make it so weird that no one is going to be able to explain their cards.
Which has happened numerous times. You just go, I've picked whimsy. Like, all these cards are whimsy.
Yeah.
So you're kind of...
That's often you, though, who goes, I looked at your word chair, but I've gone, whimsical chair. What's more whimsical? What's a more whimsical chair than a cloud where God sits? Isn't that whimsical? It's like
so much whimsy in these cards that I've got. But yeah, so the humor of the game comes down to ridiculous explanations, because the flip side is, even if you know the phrase or the word, that doesn't mean that you have cards, the dream cards in your hand that can adequately put that across, right? Like, if it was like, oh, angels and clouds, and then all the cards you have are like, it's an automobile factory. It's like, well, I have to put cards down.
Then you have to explain them.
Yeah, and then just go, well, I didn't really have any cards that fit this, so I've just put this factory down, although I definitely do know the word.
I've sometimes done that and prefaced it. I can't remember which word it was, but I didn't have anything to do with that. But I just said, basically, this word rhymes with another word.
Yes, and we
believed you. And then I put those cards down. And then they rhymed perfectly. And I was like, so I knew what the word was. Didn't have it. It rhymed with the word I chose. And here are cards that obviously are about the card. That wasn't the prompt, but was what I thought.
Which one of the best explanations you've ever given, because Simon is famously absolutely god-awful at this. Even if he has quite reasonably good cards, which he often does.
Smashed the last one out.
But the explanation is so out there. This is the...
my brain just works differently, apparently, to everyone else's.
I also feel this, because I get a lot of shit of like, well, if you look at this element of the card, it kind of means that it's like, I could put down a tree moving in the wind. The prompt was wind. And then Ita would go, I'm suspicious of that. Maybe you just got lucky. Meanwhile, someone else would put it down like the clue was liberty. They put down a carrot. And Ita would go, that's such a good pick. That's such a good pick. Nothing says more liberty than carrot to me. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys talking about over there?
This might also be because you are really good at it. Like, you're really
I'm
good
obviously
at
not, because I got no points in that fucking run.
Oh.
The last most recent game was really bad for me as well. Like, Simon smashed it.
I won it. I don't know how. I was great. I was so good.
I think one of the classic ones is when Ruby was pointed to this little tiny thing next to like a phone that was dripping honey, and you went, that is the film Inception. Yeah, I agree with it. I'm like, there's a fucking phone dripping honey from a waterfall. And you're like, that's such a good card,
but Ruby explained it super well.
No, yeah, because she pointed to the little weights and thought, like, I thought the dreidel in the game.
No, someone pointed to those and went, because of that. And she went, yeah, that's why. That's why I went down. I guarantee that.
No.
I guarantee that. I guarantee Rubes cannot remember the totems from the movie Inception.
But I also remember like a classic one when we played this for the first times, and it was like, I think we were like at Kaisland, Ibrahim was explaining the word nature with the most industrial looking like because he meant the nature, the paper, and he was like, and the way he explained it made perfect sense to me at the time, and he did not.
You guys are on a weird fucking wavelength. I remember in the last game we played, the prompt was, and I really whiffed this, was like, reach for the stars. And then the first 3 cards that came down were things underwater. And I went, yeah, I'm laughing here. I'll just put something underwater. As soon as mine went down, oh, that's a bit of a suspicious card to put down, Tom. It's like, you've all put down underwater cards, including the clue giver, who's trying to help me out. It's like, reach for the stars. Under the sea.
But people had like stars, but then there were like stars also in that underwater thing. Whilst yours was just like a scuba diver dude underwater looking at some coral.
Well, yeah, because that's what I thought the clue was trying to fucking say. Yeah. Obviously, if I knew the clue was reach for the stars, I would have put some fucking sky in, because that was all anyone went. It was like, but look at the sky that's in this image. I'm like, I get, sky.
There is
that's where stars live.
There is very... That was my reason. That was my reason.
Yeah, that's what everyone did. Like, look at the sky in here. Like, you sons of bitches.
It's the sky. That's where the stars live.
We all know that. Common knowledge.
But
if there is strategy in this game, and I'd argue there's very little strategy in this game. The only thing you can do as like decision you can make is when you choose a word, and like choosing a word that's not sword or like carrot, because that's like if you don't have that, instead of choosing like I don't know, like more of an abstract thing like hope. Where then like everyone's going to put down so many weird things and it's going to mean different things to everyone, so whoever lies, like, I don't know, inventing just where whatever you have, if you have a telephone leaking honey, how's that hope? Probably somehow.
See, I'm tempted to agree with you, but also if it's something, because I've seen numerous times when someone just puts down mouse and then like they've seen, you put an animal down, I'll put an animal down, and then just smash it out and then gone, well, I didn't have a mouse, but I did have this leopard, and everyone goes, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but because like, okay, 2 things that these cards seem to have a huge prevalence in is mice and water. So you can never go wrong with water or mice, because it's just.
Also, no, this just popped into my head because you mentioned water, right? So the word conception, right? And I'm still a little bit bitter about this. My card's a beautiful abstraction of a dancer in a V shape.
Yours was shit.
It was great.
Mine was literally. And then everyone else just went, waves of cum. Look at the waves of cum in this card. This wave that's obviously semen. I'm like, are you fucking serious? I've got like this beautiful kind of V-shaped ballet dancer kind of
yours
thing.
was
Life
excellent.
itself, we're in the cradle of humanity. You're like, waves. Look at all this water in the shell.
This is
Your
a
exact
cream
word.
pie.
Yeah, you said cream pie. Which is just devastating to me. I'm trying to get like this poetic abstraction. You're like, look at all that cum. Just
To
look
be
at the
fair-
cum in that shell.
I mean,
And that fucking worked.
I mean, I had
Unbelievable.
I had a sword that was stuck in a bit of ice.
Yeah, a frozen sword. You went,
Yeah.
semen. Look at all the semen.
No, it was
Penetration.
obviously-
penetration.
Yeah, the second one was like a sort of waterfall scene.
Yeah, just like, it was a waterfall next to some pool balls. And you were like, cum and eggs.
To be fair,
I mean, not a bad one. And I didn't know
To
the
be fair,
word.
this is what I hate. Ita just agreeing with any bullshit.
no.
And
No,
I did not know the word for that.
No, I was not going to be defending Simon. I was going to say the word conception came because we had been making a joke about the word conception for like at least 3 rounds at that point.
yeah,
so,
and
so
also-
it was just so everyone just went
Yeah.
full in.
I think because
Unbelievable.
because I wrote down Inception, which admittedly not a great pick because not everyone has seen that
Movie.
Christopher Nolan film from the early 2010s. And one person
hadn't.
not only had not seen the movie, just thought Inception meant conception.
Kind of also
Yeah.
does. We did Google it, and Inception is
Well,
the beginning of.
Yes,
Well,
and also there's no way you get the nuance from a fucking card. Oh, sorry, I put down my conception card. I was meant to put down my inception card.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
they're the same fucking dream
Yeah.
cards. Oh, ridiculous fucking game. I'm not bitter though. I'm not bitter.
No,
Yeah, but I really.
you
like
sound a
the
little
Cricket
bit
Club.
better.
I
Like,
am.
but I think it has like going back to the like theme of like how social deduction games work and why this one I think works really well. It has no like elimination.
True.
You are constantly in a team with a different person, so even if like someone is really bad at communicating, it's still kind of like you get a reprieve of that. You get always a new person. It has the most of, because I again get accused of being the liar because I talk so much, because in most social deduction games you might not have to explain, or you can just be really quiet about it. But in this game, your entire thing is that you are explaining the choices you've made. You have to tell something about yourself through the cards. So it is giving you more of the you know more about these people now
Yeah.
thing. And it doesn't have the feeling of being constantly under pressure or being the like one odd one out, because everyone gets a turn to be the person who is lying. Often gets like it's because it's randomly assigned. You might not, but yeah.
But I like the fact that you're not kind of on your own. Just because people know the prompt doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, they have an advantage, but you can just have a hand of, like, if you're struggling to explain your cards because you don't know the answer, there's people trying to explain their cards that do know the answer.
Yes.
Like, trust me, I do know this. I know I didn't have any, look, I just put a picture of a dead bird down because I panicked.
Yeah.
And then also there's so much of the cards that like I look at the card and then Tom looks at the card and we see completely different things. Like we see them that you focus on a different.
I mean, the cards are phenomenal. Like
Yeah,
the
but-
artwork. I don't know how many artists did that art, but it's
Yeah, I
just
don't know.
amazing.
But it's-
from
so
like
it's
every
beautiful.
single card is
It just takes the things that are in Mysterium and Dixit, but just gives them back to you as a like fuel for the like explanation you're giving. And I have like 3 sets or 4 sets of Dixit cards, and I've not
You
played
could
Dixit.
shuffle- you
yeah,
could
I could
shuffle
just
those in.
play
Yeah, you
this
could
with
just put them in.
exactly, because I think it would like add to it, because now we're starting to know all the cards, but then also like
Waves have come. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
the
think
cards
we're-
mean different things when the prompt changes, and then a waterfall with pool balls becomes
yes.
it means completely different.
conception.
Yeah.
No.
So like if we go back to like our problems or things that can go wrong, not go wrong, but like issues with social deduction and stuff, I would say like, why does Detective Club kind of fix this? So just to start off, I think it goes up to like A's or more. I mean,
I think
theoretically,
8,
you
yeah,
go,
we could
I mean,
go
theoretically,
do
it
it.
could go to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
easy teach.
Very.
I think just out of the box,
Yeah.
easy teach.
Might be a bit complicated to begin with, but then you play for like one round. And
I
you're
think
like, oh, I
if
get
you
it.
don't get it, I mean, in one round, you will
Yeah.
And
understand what's going on.
one round, like you can play this game. Like one round is 2 minutes of like, or like it's very short. Like it's
Yeah.
not like we sit down and it's like 30 to 45 minutes where you have to keep lying about this one thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it is 1 minute you choose for a prompt and then it's a new thing. You
Yes.
can stop there or you can keep playing.
Yeah,
and
because
then it's
there's
just
not
like-
a certain number of points to play to or anything. You can just
You
go.
could play it without
You
points.
don't even
Yeah.
have to do like
I mean,
a point
yeah.
isn't really the point.
Yeah. It's just like, what the hell are you saying? You know,
Yeah.
just craziness. You said no elimination, so fixes that.
And it again doesn't have the feeling of like you're on your own so much because it gives you everyone is kind of in the same boat, or they might not know that they're in a boat. That's kind of thing.
And it's not like I don't find it as threatening as Spyfall. I mean, there's nothing more threatening than someone asking you a direct question that you do not know the answer to that you have to answer.
That's me presenting my stuff almost every time.
I have a question like I'll sit down. I can't possibly answer this. But yeah, I think it's like
it's the least
soft.
It's the least stressful.
I think so.
Yeah, and it gives you the most of the like I said. I think it also comes down to the fact that I think it is just built around having more and more of those fun moments. Like it has those like the things that make it. Yeah.
I mean, the fact from like most of our stories have come from the last game.
Yeah.
Like that's just numerous things just from playing it once.
But it has the like I think now that I'm thinking about this is also because it comes so much down to individual interpretation of something, because the submarine thing is just me misunderstanding something quite fundamental. But that would not happen in a normal situation, because this funny thing would not happen if I was on the level about submarines. Whereas with Detective Club, it will always be like, I see in this card, I see Inception. I see.
You trust if you don't see it, that's your fault.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not. I do like the room for kind of bullshittery that isn't just
but maybe that's the thing that we all like, that kind of like bullshittery or like thinking on your feet and like explaining things. But that's definitely not something everyone likes.
Yeah, some people find that extremely stressful.
Very stressful and hard. But like, oh my god, as soon as it's my turn and I have to like invent reasons of why I put cards down for another thing. Like some people just might hate that, whilst then playing a simpler, different, more classic deduction game where it's like you have a role where you're trying to figure out who's lying and stuff might be better for like that situation.
I still think that would be more stressful. Like
I think I think the stressful bit is like, I don't know, like being on show and like trying to invent like a good story of why I picked these cards and like how they relate to something. I can definitely see that being very stressful for some people. And then
also I think that does, even when you know the word, it does require you kind of giving something of yourself, being able to tell people like, this word made me think of this.
Do you treat this whole game as like a Rorschach test? Are we being psychologically profiled by you?
No, that would require me paying more attention than I can actually do.
No, but like, I don't know, maybe I'm not getting my point across, but like...
No, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like feeling like you're kind of on display trying to like think of something clever.
Yeah, but yes, but then I would say that's an issue of pretty much every social deduction game. So let me just kind of... If you say we play Secret Hitler and you're dealt Hitler, right? That means for the whole game, your job is to let no one know, because as soon as you're found out, the game's over. So in this game, you fluff one round, doesn't matter, it's a reset. Like the game doesn't grind to a halt because you fucked up that one sentence 10 minutes ago and gave someone a clue that you were actually a mega fascist. Like I think there's less on your shoulders round to round than if you were playing like werewolf stuff. Or
I agree. There's less on your shoulders, but it's a different type of stuff that's on your. It's it's different stuff that's on your shoulders.
Yeah, and some people do find it like really, really stressful, because in this game, because in Secret Hitler and other games, you can kind of like withdraw. You cannot like you can just avoid the spotlight as much as possible.
I guess. Yeah.
And then in this game, it is like when it's your turn, everyone is looking at you, everyone is looking at your cards, everyone is listening to what you're saying. It is just like, it is a kind of a performance you are putting out.
I guess. But then you just keep it really, you just do an Annie and just go like, carrot, liberty. And then Ita goes, yeah, that makes sense. And then we move on. They're like, well, okay.
Because I'm a nice person who can tell when someone is anxious, and I give them the leeway they need.
No. Tom goes, what the fuck is that carrot?
What are you doing? What do you mean carrots?
Yeah.
Liberty. And then I just pass out through stress.
That vein, forehead vein starts bulging, and then we know it's time to calm down.
But I think the whole thing, this comes down to, we've said it many, many times. We like people, we like social things, we like being, we like talking to people, and...
Except me. I don't like being in a team.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because you're Finnish.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. I mean...
The social deduction game of this podcast has gone off the rails.
No.
Are we playing the most elaborate social deduction game?
This is one long game.
It's a parasocial deduction game.
Oh, that's a good one, though.
Is it?
Thank you for... Yeah, parasocial relationship. Anyway, look, that joke lands. I'm sure at least one person at home laughed about it. This tells you a lot about Ita's knee-jerk reaction to my comedy, where she goes, oh no, that is actually funny. And then we'll never laugh. She'll just say, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, whereas when Simon makes an absolutely terrible pun,
she laughs at my puns.
Devastating.
Yeah.
Why do I want your... Why do I want your admiration, Ita?
Yeah. You need her approval.
It is
Every
so
time.
hard to get.
I never
Yeah.
get it.
Yeah.
I never get it.
Do we have-
Waves have come. Unbelievable.
That wasn't me. I said
Cream pie. Look at this large shell being cream pied by the ocean. Like, unfucking believable.
I mean, it's pretty. I mean,
It's an evocative image, yes.
It's kind of exactly what it is.
it's
Yeah.
like no one doubted me that round.
No.
No. But yeah, I mean,
That's the thing. If you go just so outrageous with your lie,
If you go hard.
then people just
yeah. If you go cream pie shell, no one's going to question that. No one's questioning that.
everyone knows you know. Everyone thinks you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
If you-
that's
if you just go- if
the
you just
sign
go
of a
cream pie
professional.
Yeah, I employ this at work all the time.
I think this podcast has gone off the rails.
We should stop now. Yeah.
When does it not? When does it not? All right, so we've taken you down this meandering journey of social deduction games and evolution to our top pick, Detective Club. So we recommend, if you see it, give it a go.
And
you've been-
again, a game that you can actually buy
It's
is
true.
is not too expensive and is very, very fun.
Didn't
Yeah.
go massively out of print
It
10 years
It
ago.
comes in a fun tin box.
I actually hate the tin box. I'm going to throw this in. Like, if boxes come in tins, this is my one negative point. I hate tin boxes.
Why?
Really?
You just can't stack. Like, by the time that this gets to a pub, I'm pointing at the game that I brought in a bag. That will be open and just like out.
Okay.
Like that, you will just be digging that out of the bag by the time you come to play it. I don't
Yeah,
like
because
it.
it
Don't
won't-
stack
yeah,
on
fair
shelves.
Fair enough.
Yeah. The only one I had was like Forbidden Island. Great
Yeah.
game again. Shit tin box. Get rid of the box.
Do you
But
know,
I
do you
like
know
how
what's
they
an
look.
do you know what's an even worse box? You can buy Bang as a special edition as a massive bullet.
Oh, I have a story about that. No.
It's just,
Table presents.
It's just this massive, like 40 centimeter tall bullet.
That's
One
how-
of my
that's how I wanna move.
coworkers was bringing that home from Switzerland in a luggage that got screened at the airport, and they were
Yeah,
like,
but I don't
"Why do
think-
you have a bomb?"
I don't think. Yeah, but no one's just carrying a 50 caliber shell
Yeah,
through
no one's
customs.
just
But
like.
it does
that's
look like
such
a bomb, like if you're like looking
Well,
because
yeah,
it's
like
metal.
a stereotypical.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but
but-
yeah.
No one's that stupid. No terrorist
They
is
did
that
ask
stupid.
them. They
That
did
just
ask
like,
them.
It's bomb shaped. It's not even bomb shaped. It's like huge bullet shaped.
Yeah, I have a
like
huge,
like
novelty bullet shaped bomb.
It's an artillery shell.
Yeah,
It's like
it
what
is
you do,
artillery
throw
shell.
it at someone.
Anyway, point is, it is completely like stupidly shaped.
Yeah, for a card game as well.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a very weird choice. So
Other box gripes in a future. We'll just be like, what's another stupid shape for a game box? That'll be a fun episode. Just me could play. Look at this one, it's stupid.
I think if someone made like a sphere, just like a circle, and then it comes with also like a stand that you have to put the sphere on.
Oh,
Someone,
I already
if
hate
any
it.
board game designers listen to this game, make a special edition of your game.
the look
Something
of
on-
disgust on Tom's face was exquisite. just
Something
now.
on Kickstarter has that. I
Yeah.
guarantee some stupid game does.
It could be like a
Anyway.
Star Wars game, and then it's like it's the Death Star
I already hate it. Okay.
coming to.
Not a
Kickstarter.
big fan of
It's
IP.
the official Board with Fins game,
Yeah.
Star Wars game.
Star Wars.
I mean, sun fighting game.
Sun fighting. Yeah, the knockoff version. We're unsuable now. Got
The
him.
sun fights.
Nice try, Lucas/Disney. We've got you. But anyway, we have now completed our thoughts about not only boxes and Detective Club and social deduction games, but we shall return in the future talking and complaining about other stuff, I'm sure. But until that time, I will say goodbye. Do you guys say goodbye?
I say goodbye as well.
Yeah, goodbye.
Beautifully, finishly done. I love it. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Bye, 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 bye.